What political party is President Obama affiliated with?
I think he's a Democrat, a Republican. I don't know. I really don't care.
No, it's not important, man. We got weed to smoke.
Exactly. How'd you know?
Hey, what political party is Barack Obama affiliated with?
God, I don't know.
Come on, seriously?
I don't know, man.
We're talking about the Lord Barack Obama.
Uh-huh.
What political party is he affiliated with, the Messiah?
I would think the Democrat Party, I guess.
Is that a guess, or do you
guess?
know?
Yeah, I don't got time, man. Appreciate it.
Oh, okay. You don't have time.
I don't know. I think he's the best ideas, good ideas.
He's a part of the best ideas political party.
I'd say he's Barack Obama is affiliated with the Republican Party.
Oh, we're just checking. We're doing some surveys on the pulse of America, find out how brain dead everybody is.
See what's happening is President
People
Obama,
are brain dead. That's what's happening.
Well, not people, but President Obama.
He's brain dead too.
Well, yeah.
Actually, he's smart. He's an intelligent con man. Talking about the Lord Obama, President Obama, the Savior. What political party is he affiliated with?
Well, I don't really know.
You don't even know.
No. I'm sorry.
Are you an American citizen?
Yes, I know.
Oh, okay. Are you sure you got some illegal green card, or you didn't sneak
I'm
over?
A citizen, no.
Oh, but you don't know what political party the Savior, the Messiah, is part of?
No.
Thank you for being informed.
No problem, okay?
Okay, thanks, Zombie. What party is the president a part of?
Oh, I don't know. Isn't he like a Democrat or something?
You're just guessing.
Yeah.
You just say you don't know.
I don't.
We're just checking.
Thanks.
What party is Barack Obama affiliated with?
It's one of those.
Huh?
It's one of those.
One of those.
This isn't really on the air, is it? I have nothing good to say. Oh, I'm sorry.
You don't know what political party he's affiliated with?
I'm not sure what he's affiliated with. Who he's affiliated with.
Satan. He's affiliated with Satan.
Who he's standing for.
It's time for Fully Threaded Radio.
It is Fully Threaded Radio, voice of the FCH Sourcing Network. I'm Eric Dudas, he's Brian Musker, and if you buy, sell, manufacture, or simply dig industrial fasteners, this is the podcast for you.
In fact, the only podcast.
Good point. This is a huge show today, Bri, and I want to do the rundown right off the bat.
Okay.
This is episode 78 of Fully Threaded Radio, everybody, and we're publishing on February 22nd, 2014. The Metropolitan Fastener Distributors Association held an important economic summit meeting in New York recently. Jay Minichino of BMB Fasteners is the president of that organization, and we're going to play a conversation we had with him recently, and we'll hear all about that in our first segment. Next, Brian and I are going to spend a few moments discussing the new FCH Quote Scrubber. Now, this is something we discussed during the previous episode of the podcast, and we're inviting all FCH members to help us beta test this awesome new tool during the month of March. Mike McNulty's Fastener News Report follows that, and he has BB&T analyst Holden Lewis along with him this time. The FDI reading for January was something of a surprise, and it's new and improved too, Bri, as they will discuss today on the Fastener News Report. Seasonal adjustments have been added in. That's going to add a whole new dimension.
Right, yeah, Holden had told us about that a few months ago.
Correct. Finally, the NFDA and Pac-West held a huge event last week in Palm Springs. Paul, Tiffany, and Tracy Lehman join us for the recap. What was the buzz? Was there any mention of fershmoozlement? And why was Tom Buddenbone impersonating Bob Eubanks? It's all just ahead.
Or anyone.
And anytime the issue of impersonating comes up in the fastener industry, we always take notice.
Right.
And our sponsors seem to like that too.
The sponsors love it, actually. The title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Stellfast. Stellfast, for service you deserve and people you trust. And Trinity Hardware Headquarters. Trinity Hardware Headquarters, for parts done right. Also, Buckeye Fasteners, Volt Industrial Plastics, Fastenal, and Solution Industries, home of Solution Man. Thanks to all of you. You help us make Fully Threaded possible, and to all of you listening, make sure you favor these companies with your business.
Absolutely. Let them know FTR sent you.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'd like to welcome you all back, as usual. And, of course, in addition to that, the members of the government surveillance apparatus. You're all welcome.
Right. We can hear the crackling on our headphones from the NSA.
Yeah, we had our audio challenges on this episode. Apologize for that, everybody. But, we're not directing any blame in particular.
No, that is not blamed on the NSA, okay?
Get with us anytime, everybody. We'd love to hear from you. The email address is ftr@fullythreaded.com. We're also out there on Twitter, the handle Fully Threaded.
And you know that for links that go with the podcast, you go to Fully Threaded on Facebook, and you'll find those. Eric usually keeps those pretty much updated.
We got a couple of good ones on this episode, everybody. So thanks again. We'll talk to you right after this.
Where do you go when you need fasteners fast, or a unique part that you can't live without? 3 words: Trinity Hardware Headquarters. You can easily find whatever you're looking for with our convenient online catalog that features over 30,000 different types of fasteners available in packaged quantities, product kits, and assortments. And now you can order over 2,000 of the most popular line items online 24/7, 365. Whether you're looking for standard inch and metric sizes or one of those hard-to-find parts, it's not hard to find at TrinityHardwareHQ.com. With over 400,000 square feet of warehouse space in locations throughout the Midwest and South, filled with over 18 million pounds of fasteners, Trinity Hardware Headquarters has exactly what you need. When you can't afford downtime, let Trinity Hardware Headquarters hold it together with the fasteners you need. Visit our website at www.trinityhardwarehq.com or call us at 888-232-1010. Trinity Hardware Headquarters, for parts done right.
When top quality and outstanding service are at the top of your list in fastener suppliers, turn to Stellfast. Since 1976, Stellfast has grown to become an industry-leading importer and manufacturer of the highest quality industrial fasteners, specialty items, and automotive parts. Our array of facilities across North America and in Asia, along with full quality control labs and ISO 9001-2008 certifications, ensure the highest quality parts, and at Stellfast, they're delivered with undisputed service excellence. We're family-run and dedicated to your success. Our customers have come to depend on the expertise of our staff and the quality of our products. We also offer a wide range of secondary services to meet some of the toughest requirements you might have. Contact Stellfast today through our website at www.stellfast.com and put us to work for you. Stellfast. Service you deserve, people you trust.
First, there was fire, and man said,
"Fire, good."
Then there was the wheel, and man said,
"Wheel, good."
With the invention of the wheel came the need for fasteners, and man loudly exclaimed,
"Buckeye, good."
Buckeye Fasteners, providing quality products since the dawn of man. The preceding message was brought to you by Buckeye Fasteners and the Ohio Nut and Bolt Company, proud fastener show sponsors of Old Rusty Bolt Beer, official beer of the Traveling Salesman.
Tell 'em Grog sent you.
In this economy, I need to cut cost and freight, or I'll lose my customer.
Solution Man Ken. The more you order, the more you'll save. With free freight on orders over $1,000. See the Solution Industries website for details at solutionIND.com.
Solution Man, you're my fastener hero.
Just doing my job, ma'am.
Hey, this is Clayton Allen from Buckeye Fasteners in Cleveland, Ohio, and you're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Well, Brad, there's been no shortage of association events to cover. We've been keeping up with that, geez, ever since the new year started.
Right, yeah. Wonderland of events, actually.
Fastener Wonderland and the Winter Wonderland. Well,
Yeah.
joining us now, we have yet some more association news coverage, I guess you could say, and this time it's the Metropolitan Fastener Distributor Association, and here with us to discuss it is Mr. Jay Minichino. He's the president of that association, and he's also with B&B Fasteners out there in West Patterson, New Jersey. Jay, welcome aboard.
Thank you guys for having me on.
You know, the Midwest Fastener Association is our home association, and of course, Ms. Nancy Rich is the executive director over there. I think that's her official title, and we heard at the top of the year that she came on board with Metropolitan Fastener Association.
Yes, she did, and we're happy to have her. She's a tremendous asset to us. Been working with her for about the last 6 or 7 weeks now with the group, and it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, she's a great asset for the Midwest, too.
Yes, and I've been working with her with the Fastener Coalition as well, and I know she's involved with a bunch of groups. So we're happy to have her, and we look forward to having her with us for a lot of years to come.
Now, Jay, I probably should have mentioned that your resume just got a little bit more impressive because you're also involved with the Fastener Coalition, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and we're going to have to dedicate a segment just to that subject coming up here in the near future because I know there's going to be a lot going on. But tell us, before we get into any of all that, tell us a little bit about B&B Fasteners. You're out there in the New Jersey area, and what are y'all about?
Well, we're a small fastener distributor. We've been around since 1976. We're just a traditional distributor, military, commercial hardware. We're a small outfit. A lot of people in our group who have been with us for a lot of years. And, I got involved with the MFDA because of B&B. I've been there, I guess going on 16 years I've been with B&B, and I kind of started my career there and worked my way up through the chain of command, and I'm the VP of operations. And, it's a nice company. It's family owned, and, it's like I said, my boss has been in the industry for probably 50 years, over 50 years. So I had a good trainer, a good mentor, and, a good solid foundation in the industry.
Well, it sounds like the bread and butter of this industry, so glad to have you aboard.
Well, it's the funny thing is nobody ever, like you guys have said in the past, nobody ever really bank unless you're a fastener family. You never really bank on being in the fastener industry. It kind of just happens. And I was working there while I was going to college, and it just kind of there was a need for I did kind of jack of all trades, and there was a need for a salesman, and I took it and ran with it. So, and here I am 16 years later, VP of operations, and and what do you call it, and taking the company over probably in the next 10 years, along with a couple other members of the Malone family who was the owner. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, it's quite common, the people we interview, how they turned a job they had when they were at college into a lifelong one in an industry.
Right. Yeah, that's what it was. I mean, I kind of was just doing some office work and whatnot over there, and then I started doing purchasing and pickups, deliveries, shipping and receiving, kind of jack of everything, And it just worked out nicely, and then they were looking for a salesman, and I just kind of filled right in that position and went from there. So right after I got out of school, so it worked out.
So the MFDA, you guys are pretty much all your events. I'm looking at your website, and they're concentrated in New York, New Jersey. Is that your territory as well, or do you go beyond that? Or
Well, we do. We go up into Connecticut. Some of our memberships are national companies with we do have people from out in the Midwest who are who are members of the organization. We do have people from South Jersey on like the Philadelphia border where we're kind of running up against. We kind of go up and run up against where New England takes over up in Connecticut, and we run down into South Jersey into Philly where Mid-Atlantic takes over. So that's New York and New Jersey is our primary area. North Jersey and the greater New York area.
Huh. The thing that strikes me a little strange is the name metropolitan, because it's such a British definition. I mean, if you watch TV, you'd see Scotland Yard, but its real name is the Metropolitan Police.
Right, yes.
You don't hear it used in America that often.
No, I mean, in New Jersey, they say the metro area. I'm sure they say that, in D.C. and a couple other places along the way, but it's an old organization. The organization, I think it's one of the older ones. It's been around since 1963, and I've been blessed to be a member of it since I've been a board member for the last 8 years, and I've been president for the last 4. So, it's a really good organization. A lot of good core values. We're trying to breathe some new life back into some events, come up with some new events that would, interest the membership. You always want to keep the membership interested and keep them coming to events. It's hard enough to get people to come out. As you guys, I know you're affiliated with a few different organizations. It's hard to get members to come out. So you want to change things up and change up the venues and where you're having things and speakers you're bringing in and keep a constant flow of educational mixed with social to entertain the membership and keep them, interested in coming back.
Yep.
Well, I think your move hiring Nancy is going to pay off. I think you'll probably see some new blood in the organization and probably keep some of the old members happy that way. So good going.
Absolutely, and she came very highly recommended from a lot of our past presidents and members who are past board members who who have the national outreach to their companies have national presence, and so and they said very professional. You're going to get a lot for what you're looking for, and we certainly are. Like I said, it's just been 6 or 7 weeks, and it's been seamless.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about one of your events that you just had, which was an economic summit. And I'll be really interested to hear what the ITR people said about their economic outlook. They always have a lot of red meat for the fastener industry from that standpoint. But before we move on to that, I'd just like to get back to fastener business for a minute. So what's going on in the Northeast? What are you seeing? How are distributors such as yourself faring with the current conditions, economic, weather, everything? What are you seeing?
Well, I've seen it from a B&B perspective. I've seen it. It's been up and down. It's been a roller coaster the last so many years since our economy has been shaky. It's been a roller coaster. You're up, you're down, you're flat, and if you're flat and your sales are flat, you're lucky to be. You can hold on to where your numbers were last year or last quarter or last month. That's a win in this economy. That's what I've been thinking about. But, it's been up and down. I mean, the economy here, the housing market in the New York City area, it never really changed. Out in New Jersey, housing prices, depending on how far in proximity you are away from Manhattan, some of the housing prices have shifted. So, and people are a little bit, I noticed with some of my customer base, they're a little bit more reluctant. They're doing a lot of reorders and a lot of, ongoing projects, things that instead of ordering larger quantities, they become smaller orders. So people are doing smaller job runs, not larger ones, and not doing much new development. I deal a lot with an industry, with the retail display industry, me personally at B&B, and in the retail, they're just refreshing old display units. They're not putting any new units. It's kind of slowed down. So, that's what I've seen. The weather up here, you guys know, the weather up here has affected us. We've had a lot of shutdowns the last couple of weeks since the new year. We've had, several days off, so that's impacted us. Unless you have the capability of working remotely from home, as a sale, that can get you the sales, but it's not going to get you anything shipped out the door for you.
Correct.
And, so, you do have the capacity in this today's day and age. You do have the capacity of working from home and answering emails and voicemails and getting people quotes and a lot of the master distributors having online online services that allow you to go in and get pricing and availability, based on your pricing structure. That does help. But again, you're not shipping anything out the door. You're not invoicing anything because nothing is shipping. So you have, like last week we lost a day and a half to the weather.
Yep.
This week we've lost a day to the weather. So that being said, that's where we are and we had Andrew Duguay of ITR Economics. We've had ITR come in a bunch of times over the last 10 or 15 years, and it's usually been Jeff Dietrich, who I think has spoken to the NFDA over the years as well. But we had a gentleman by the name of Andrew Duguay come in, and he's a younger gentleman, and he kind of told us that we're going to continue to grow, and the economy's been growing since 2009, and it's going to continue that way. And we're at the highest pre-recession levels we have been in the United States since 2009. So that was refreshing to know. And he also said that there's no leading indicators pointing towards any kind of economic collapse in the near future. So that was also good to know. And he touched on, obviously the healthcare and how that's affecting us as a country, and retail sales and automotive, and our spending as a country, where that's been, both in business and in personal.
Well, what did he have to say about that, Jay?
Well, he said that automobile sales, believe that or not, have stayed strong. They've remained the same. They haven't gone down. People are buying things, and again, he touched on like just what I said a little while ago about the housing market. The housing market is coming back, but you are seeing more involved with apartment living rather than. So if you're going to invest in anything, if people are going to build, any kind of housing, it's going to be apartment style living. That's where people are. That's where everybody's going. They're heading in that direction. The single family homes and that kind of stuff are just kind of sitting empty. Retail space is sitting empty. Commercial space for industrial and warehousing is sitting empty. And that's across the country.
Okay, but getting back to the question of healthcare, did they have any prognostication on the direction of any of this? I mean, legislatively, or did they just kind of stay away from that and mention it?
They kind of stayed away from it because they don't really want to get wrapped up in the political aspect of it, and I can completely understand and appreciate that. But yes, they did touch on it and say how that's affecting us, as a country. And they also talked about, and I know you guys have had this on in recent segments, they've talked about what they refer to as nearshoring phenomenon, and we refer to it as reshoring.
Correct.
But how a lot of these companies, and they brought up GE in particular, how they're bringing a lot of these jobs back to the States. And they also talked about the Pacific Trade Alliance, where a lot of the countries that are going to start making things in South America and Central America, Mexico, a lot of the jobs are going to go back to Mexico. We're using Mexico over Canada, and they're going to use countries like Colombia, Peru, Chile, and they're going to see a lot of growth in those countries in manufacturing. Right now, the economy, they're saying the good outweighs the bad, and they're saying that 14 is going to continue to grow, and we're just going to continue, and 15 after that is going to continue to grow. So, they're saying that going back the past 3 or 4 years, we've had continued growth since 2009, and it's on an upward trend.
Good. It's just not quite fast enough. That's the problem.
Yeah, right. We'll leave that part of it there, and it's always interesting to get input from these guys because, let's face it, they're watching all of this like a hawk, and a lot of people respect their opinions.
Right. They did say one thing that I found interesting, and it was, in regards to the economy, but more in regards to the unemployment and workforce. They did say that we are going to find trouble. We're going to have trouble finding good, skilled people with good skill sets. So if you have people trained from within, keep your invest in training programs and train from within your company so people can move up, up the ladder of management within your company. And, because it is going to be harder and harder. If somebody leaves and they take a certain skill set with them, to replace them is going to cost you either an immense amount of training in the beginning, or it's going to cost you more money if they have that skill set. So skill sets are going to be harder to find, and I guess that would be, that would apply not only in like a distributor, but more so in a manufacturer. If you have a certain, skill set, they're going to be harder and harder to replace those people.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Well, before we wrap up this conversation, Jay, what are some of the big events coming down the pike for the MFDA for the year?
Well, next month in March, we have We have the educational seminar on conflict minerals. We have William Weisberg. He's a lawyer out of the Washington, D.C. area coming in. He's come in twice to talk to the MFDA, once about DFARS and once about ITAR. And now he's going to come in and speak to us about conflict minerals, which is a big topic within our industry. And after that, in April, we have a roundtable discussion. We're going to have some vendors, importers coming in, manufacturers coming in and speaking to us. We'll do that one back in New York, where we had our economic forecast this past week. And then the really big ones, in June, we have our 33rd annual scholarship, which is nice because we give a lot of money away to almost everybody who applies to our scholarship gets something. So that's always a nice event. And then our two biggest events of the year is in September 21st and 22nd. We have our 19th annual golf outing and our tabletop show the following day. So it's a Sunday and a Monday, and that's always a good event. Our tabletop event is always interesting, and we get a lot of exhibitors to come out. I think last year we had somewhere, it's an afternoon to evening event, and we had somewhere around 60 or 70 exhibitors. And we had about 300 attendees, which was nice.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, from like 2 o'clock till 8 o'clock at night. Yeah. That's a lot of people walking in and out the door.
That's happening September 22nd, and that's at the Fiesta Woodridge in New Jersey.
That's correct, yes. And that's where we always have it. We've been having it there for quite some time.
People can get all of the information on these events and more at the website, and that is mfda.us. Nice, clean site, Jay. I noticed you didn't mention bimetallic corrosion at any point in any of that. Is there going to be any coverage of that?
It's something we should probably look into. It isn't something that programming has discussed, but we try to keep it, between educational and I actually have a couple of socials in there as well. But it's definitely something we should definitely look into.
Yeah, I would have thought hydrogen embrittlement would have been one if you wanted Eric to turn up.
Right, I was waiting for him to say that. That's always one of your favorite subjects.
Right on, man. Well, I didn't expect the deadpan reply, but good job. Jay Minichino, you are the president of the MFDA with BMB Fasteners out there in West Patterson, New Jersey, and thanks for making your debut here with Fully Threaded, and don't make it yourself a stranger.
Yeah. I certainly won't. Thank you for having me on, and I look forward to my next time.
We'll be right back with more Fully Threaded Radio.
Coming to you across the vast audio radiance of the internet, it's the voice of the FCH Sourcing Network. Fully Threaded Radio.
When top quality and outstanding service are at the top of your list in fastener suppliers, turn to Stellfast. Since 1976, Stellfast has grown to become an industry-leading importer and manufacturer of the highest quality industrial fasteners, specialty items, and automotive parts. Our array of facilities across North America and in Asia, along with full quality control labs and ISO 9001-2008 certifications, ensure the highest quality parts, and at Stellfast, they're delivered with undisputed service excellence. We're family-run and dedicated to your success. Our customers have come to depend on the expertise of our staff and the quality of our products. We also offer a wide range of secondary services to meet some of the toughest requirements you might have. Contact Stellfast today through our website at www.stellfast.com and put us to work for you. Stellfast. Service you deserve, people you trust.
FastenersClearinghouse.com. Search and source from over 500,000 line items, or just a mouse click away and available at no charge. When the need arises, you won't find a better place to locate hard-to-find fastener inventory. It's where you need to be.
This is Joe Truckee of Cal Fasteners, and Fasteners Clearinghouse works for us.
This is Robert Wanzer, and Fasteners Clearinghouse works for American Imperial.
This is Andy Pell from ScrewCrew.com, and FCH works for the fastener industry.
Join the sourcing network now and show your inventory to a whole new market. Turn slow movers into cash. List up to 10,000 line items. Show them to distributors only or to the world. FastenersClearinghouse.com. It's where you need to be.
Since 1905, Buckeye Fasteners and the Ohio Nut and Bolt Company have been supplying the world with high-quality fasteners. Our standard product lines include weld fasteners, braided weld screws, leg levelers, self-clinching hardware, clevis pins, rivet nuts, and various other fastener lines, allowing us to support virtually all types of industries. We have complete custom manufacturing capabilities in low carbon, medium carbon, and stainless steel materials, and our quality systems are registered to ISO standards. Our on-staff engineering department can assist you with product development and provide total technical support. Our knowledgeable sales team members offer superior customer service and are here to answer any questions you may have regarding our products. Having a hard time finding a part? Let our sourcing specialists do the work for you to locate those items. We offer competitive pricing with typically smaller minimums and shorter lead times. To find out more about Buckeye Fasteners, please call us at 800-437-1689 or on the web at buckeyefasteners.com. Buckeye Fasteners, more than just weld.
Looking for package fasteners of all kinds? How about specials or unique parts that no one seems to carry? At Trinity Hardware Headquarters, we believe in parts done right, and our new catalogue is available online at trinityhardwarehq.com, featuring over 30,000 different types of fasteners available in package quantities, product kits, and assortments, including hundreds of hard-to-find parts as well as the most popular inch and metric sizes. Trinity Hardware Headquarters has locations throughout the Midwest and South, and over 400,000 square feet of warehouse space with 18 million pounds of fasteners ready to fill your requirements. Our featured products include number 3 and number 7 head plow bolts, grade 5 and grade 8 carriage bolts, hook bolts, tap bolts, and nuts and washers of all kinds, plus much more. Visit our website at www.trinityhardwarehq.com or give Trinity Hardware Headquarters a call at 888-232-1010. Trinity Hardware Headquarters, for parts done right.
This is Josh Glazer with Glazer & Associates, glazerbolt.com, your full line online source for fasteners. You're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric back with you. Fully Threaded. Hey, just saw this fly by on LinkedIn. And of course, I want to, before I mention this, I guess kind of an interesting piece of news involving InSequel software. Extend the appreciation. Had a great opportunity to address all the InSequel users out in Las Vegas recently. They put out a great spread, as I was expecting. I tell you, that Gallagher Steakhouse in New York. I tell you, I haven't been everywhere in Vegas, but man, they do a good job.
Yes, actually, I remember that in the earlier days when Las Vegas shows were pretty horrific for us. Your father used to take us there and shout us as after the Las Vegas show finished.
That's true.
Very welcome, let me tell you, after the days we had then.
That was a little grim getting started, but fortunately that's all behind us. And I tell you, Bob and Darren over there at InSequel, they know how to take care of their users. The post that I saw on LinkedIn actually came from Brighton Best. I believe Michael White handles the social media for Brighton. And this one said, "Dear InSequel customers, please note that the InSequel to BBI Direct Connect interface is live and running on version 4.1402.7 blah, 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 blah. If you have received this release, then please contact InSequel support." And that's good stuff, I mean, these guys are reaching out and they're connecting the fastener industry, and of course FCH is plugged right into that whole matrix.
Yes, we are.
So if you're an InSequel user or a Brighton customer, be advised.
Right. Yeah, I think the way it works is an extra option in the one of the screens that allows you to purchase through the InSequel Direct Connect. And it used to only be with Porteous, I think, didn't it?
Right. And that was one of the great subjects during the user group meeting out there in Vegas. He's got several partners lined up now. And I haven't seen any official marketing information on that, but I know it's a big deal for them. And of course, we're very happy to be participating in that. While I was doing my presentation, Bri, I had a great chance to also introduce InSQL users to the new tool that you and I have been developing, and we are so thrilled. This thing is just about ready to release. Of course, I'm talking about the FCH Quote Scrubber, and man, you have been doing some great work on this thing, and this is going to save a lot of people a lot of time. I think this is going to make a pretty big splash.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting. This came about years ago when we first went to Las Vegas to the show. A guy came up to us, it was actually Peter Sullivan from Accurate Fasteners, and said, if your scrubber can do this, why can't it just scrub a spreadsheet for me? And the answer was complicated, but we hadn't set it up to do that. And so every year successively, Peter came to see us and asked me if we'd actually got it working yet, and the answer was no. And then, as a result of other people asking us, we finally decided to schedule it and actually make it work. So the idea is that if you're a distributor, then people send you spreadsheets with items that they want you to quote on and supply. And like everyone in the fastener industry, the descriptions on these spreadsheets are as horrific as we get every single day. And they're hard. Some of them are really hard to work out. What are these things?
Right. So why not put the scrubber to work and decipher all that stuff and save everybody a lot of time and money?
Right. And that was the idea of it. So the problem's really been is building an interface so that, members can actually upload these spreadsheets and that we can send the scrub ones back. It's, that's where a lot of the hard stuff is really entailed in that. I mean, because we think the scrubber is so simple because it's been running for years. Other people think that's where the complication is. So the theory is that a person will, initially it'll be a few selected members who'll run this, help us test this for a month in actual running. When they log in, there'll be an extra option on the top of their screen to load a quote scrubber, a quote up. And they just pick the thing and tick a few buttons depending on how they want it to run. Do they want it to look for military or mil-spec numbers, trade names, things like that? And we will, let them click a button, it will upload it. And from then on, it goes into sort of autopilot. And then the scrubber scrubs it. And then another program gathers all the fields up that were in the original spreadsheet plus all our scrubbed ones, and then makes another spreadsheet and sends it back to them. Okay.
Well, I think you're being really modest in describing the programming effort that went into this, but suffice it to say that all FCH users and all fully threaded listeners, for that matter, are invited to jump in and participate with us during this beta program. We really want to put it through the rigors. We think it's going to be great. We think it's going to really save a lot of people, as I said, a lot of time and money. So, again, the email address, ftr@fullythreaded.com. We intend to use the month possibly a little beyond that as a beta program, but the FCH Quote Scrubber is, I think, going to be a huge wave on the industry.
Right, and our aim is to hopefully the users we've got set up for initial testing users and ones that you might, if you're listening and you think you would be interested in being part of this, and please contact us. Which we would like feedback, relating to whether it could do something a different way or whether it isn't working the way you expect it to, or how it could be changed to make it work exactly the way you want. These are all setup things. So we, the technical parts we've covered at the moment. Okay. So we look forward to people getting a hold of us, and we hope to have a really interesting month of March when we get this. Put this really into, take the covers off and actually let this work.
Oh, yeah. I think it's going to fershmoozle a lot of people.
Okay, and then those who don't know what that is, they won't know what's happened to them, okay?
Hey, everybody, we've got the Fastener News Report coming just ahead. And, of course, one of our great sponsors of that news report is Volt Industrial Plastics, and I received an email just the other day. Glad to say that Volt is going to continue on with us. Heidi Voltrauer, of course, is the big boss over there, and she is also the proprietor of the All-American Fastener Show. Now, this is a little bit of a ways down the pike, Bri, but
right.
I know you being a big fan of excellent barbecue, you couldn't have enough information on this, so she says it's going to be held this time around on September 9th and 10th, 2015 at the Sheraton in downtown Nashville, Tennessee.
Right. And I will be there, as I was in Kansas City, okay?
Now, did you vote for Nashville? I know she left this open to the users and attendees. Were you someone who voted for Nashville? It's a good town.
Yes, I did.
Oh, very good.
Yep. I've been introduced to barbecue in Nashville by a group of people from Chicago, Bridge and Iron, actually, years ago.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. It's an interesting city, and I know that the All-American Fastener Show is going to be another great one to attend. So put it down in your calendars, folks. Don't say you haven't been forewarned.
Right.
Once again, Volt Industrial Plastics, a great sponsor of the Fastener News Report. Fully Threaded Radio is also sponsored by Stelfast, Trinity Hardware Headquarters, Buckeye Fasteners, and Solution Industries. I know another guy who's going to be at that show, Bri.
Who's that?
He's Mike McNulty. And here he is with the Fastener News Report.
Thanks, Eric and Brian. This is Mike McNulty from Fastener Technology International Magazine, bringing you the Fastener News Report, which is sponsored today by Volt Industrial Plastics, makers of the world's finest plastic fasteners. The snow, ice, and cold of this winter have caused the global warming folks to change their mantra to climate change, and soon they may change it to climate inequality or some other clever nonsense uttered by people like John Kerry, someone that we should just ignore. Call me simple, but this winter I am impressed with people like my mailman who simply changes his boots and coat to do his job, the snowplow drivers that clear and salt the roads at all hours of the night and day, and truck drivers that drive loads of products like fasteners all over the country, regardless of the conditions, so that I can stay focused on fasteners and deliver today's Fastener News Report. In our top story, we're going to get the January 2014 results of FDI, also known as the Fastener Distributor Index. Also in today's report, we have newsmaker headlines from the European Union, RTI International Metals, Directed Manufacturing, Rockwood Equity Partners, Dell Fastener, AFC Industries, Spangler Fastener, and the U.S. Department of Commerce. On the back page report, we're going to talk about Olympic hockey. We'll get to all of that and the Fastener Distributor Index results for January right after this.
Volt Industrial Plastics is the source for all your high-quality plastic fastener needs, and customer service is their #1 priority. With almost 1 million fasteners in stock and same-day shipping on stock items, Volt Industrial Plastics carries inventory so you don't have to. Volt manufactures everything in-house from over 125 different materials, and they're proud to say 100% of their products are American-made. And of course, custom tooling and in-house bagging is available. Contact Volt online at www.voltplastics.com. Volt Industrial Plastics, makers of the world's finest plastic fasteners.
For a selection of hundreds of thousands of fasteners, check out your local Fastenal store or Fastenal.com. We can stock domestic or internationally sourced product locally and keep your bin stock filled for you at no additional expense. We are a 9001-2008 certified company that's made a huge investment in quality control so you don't have to. And if you can't find it on our shelf, we can make it for you at the quantity you need at one of our many manufacturing facilities. Learn more by contacting your local Fastenal store or visiting Fastenal.com today.
I need 5,000 3/4 10 by 9 and 3/4 grade 8 zinc yellow tap bolts right away, but they're not a standard size.
Solution Man Ken. I carry a wide variety of sizes and I can quickly cut them to any length. See Solution Industries' website for details at solution.ind.com.
Using your bare hands?
I do use a saw on smaller parts, actually.
Back to the Fastener News Report with Mike McNulty.
In January, the FDI started off the year with a seasonally adjusted result of 51.5, pretty much the same as the December 2013 result, which was 52.0 with seasonal adjustment. Fastener Distributor Index data is collected and analyzed by BB&T Capital Markets and the FCH Sourcing Network, and it seeks to identify demand, pricing, and outlook trends within the American fastener industry. To get the details on these steady or sluggish results, we talked to Holden Lewis of BB&T Capital Markets. Hi, Holden. Thanks for joining us on the Fastener News Report.
As always, happy to be here, Mike.
Now, as I mentioned in the build-up there, listeners should know that you now have added seasonal adjustments to the FDI. What can you tell us about that, as well as the results for January?
Well, the good news is this is one of the benefits of collecting data for a period of time, is that we can begin to see some trends in that data. And one of the things that we noticed over 2 years of collecting it is that certain months react either more favorably or more negatively. And that really comes home, I think, in the December month, where I think because of weather, we've historically tended to, weather holidays, we've historically tended to see numbers that are low. And then in January, you've historically seen a reasonably good pickup in January as the holidays pass and people sort of get back to work in the new year. And so having a couple years of trend data to take a look at, we decided to begin to seasonally adjust for that trend data. Now, listeners should be aware that it's 2 years of data. I would love to have 3, 4, and 5 years of data, and we will. And as we do get more data, we'll continue to sort of adjust even retroactively some of the seasonal adjustments. However, I think if you look at the seasonally adjusted number, and in the future that's what we're really going to talk about and focus on, I think it gives a bit more of a coherent picture than what we've been talking about to this point, where you've seen significant swings. And so, as you said, the pure FDI number in January was 57.4, but if you seasonally adjust it, that comes in at 51.5, which I think everyone would agree would seem to better reflect the environment that we're facing. And, just as favorably, you've really seen sort of the 51.5 in January, 52 in December, 54 in November. What you get by seasonally adjusting is, I think, a much more stable picture of the last 6 months of demand in the fastener distribution space. And unfortunately, the conclusion doesn't change, which is that it's been relatively sluggish. And clearly, with a 51.5 reading in January, it suggests that we're growing in January, but again, at a relatively slow pace, which is to say that it doesn't look like much change in January relative to what we saw through much of 2013.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I'm pleased with the seasonal adjustments. It makes sense. It's good that you have the data and you've done it. And but you're right. At the end of the day, it's pretty much the same result as we've been seeing. But that seems to be what is going on in the industry as well.
I think that's right, and I think by seasonally adjusting it, not only is it going to give, I think, a little bit more of an accurate representation month to month of what's going on, but it'll certainly make it easier to interpret the data. We had sometimes, again, if I had to try to explain a 57 reading in January, I would have had a very difficult time doing so. It just makes a lot more sense when you do apply the seasonal adjustments. And by the way, this is something which the broad PMI number, they also do these seasonal adjustments. So this is not something that we're trying to do to fit the numbers to the environment. This is a pretty standard application of statistics to data.
Good. Yeah, that does make sense with what you're doing. Now, when I looked at the details of the report, the one factor of improvement that jumped off the page to me was the sales number, which is one of the better results in a long time. Does this mean anything, or was this the seasonally rebound from December?
Yeah, I think it's the latter, and best number in some time. I think you had to go back to October to find a 73 number, and the following month it fell to 43. Honestly, there probably would be some virtue to trying to apply the seasonal techniques to the sales number as well. But given the volatility, and given that it is 2 years of data, at this point we've opted not to do so. So I think that we will eventually, but I think that you're right. I think the trend that we've seen in the big number is for January to look better than December as people simply get back to work post-holidays. And I think that you probably saw that in that sales number. But yeah, I mean, you can certainly bet that it's the volatility that you see in sales that gets smoothed out when we seasonally adjust the overall number. So yeah, I think in looking at that single data point, I think what you're seeing is simply people getting back to work, and that's, I wouldn't say that it is representative of a meaningfully improved market. The other factor that we need to consider here is simply weather. We've certainly looked at the monthly releases from companies like Grainger and Fastenal and manufacturers like Kennametal that are certainly relevant to the distribution space, and every one of them have cited weather as being a negative factor in January. December wasn't so great, and quite frankly, February has not looked very good so far either. The benefit of the FDI is it's somewhat subjective. The folks that report to it can adjust their thinking for what the weather is doing, but you can't capture all of that. On some level, I think you have to, at this point, we're going to have to assume that March is going to be the best reading that we're going to get, given what a nasty winter it's been through much of the country for the past 2-3 months.
Yeah, lots of cold days and snow days in schools, and shutdowns on roads and deliveries and things like that. It should have some kind of impact, but your seasonal stuff should probably smooth that out. Other thing I noticed is that the long-term outlook took a little bit of a hit with 11% expecting lower results. I think that's a first time in a long time that I've seen that number in double digits.
I think that's right, and I think that the outlook number was kind of a good news, bad news thing in the sense that still more than half of the people that responded are expecting demand to be better 6 months from now than it is today. That's a very good number. The 11% stands out because, as you said, we haven't seen a number that high in really quite some time. But still, 11% is not a big number. Having a 5-to-1 ratio of people thinking things will be better versus worse, again, that is a very good ratio. And so when I look at that number, it may be a little bit of a red flag. We need to watch it to make sure it's not the first month of a trend. And I don't think that it's going to be. I just don't get the sense, again, talking to smaller distributors, public companies, etc. I don't get the sense that there is an eroding sentiment that would that might explain that. So I think on some level we're talking about relatively small numbers of people, small percentages that are thinking things are going to get worse. And when you have small numbers, again, this could be sort of the statistical sort of discussion today. But when you have small numbers, you can get some pretty big swings, and I think that's what I would consider this month. I would consider that higher number to be mostly noise. When I talk to companies during the course of a normal day, I just don't get the sense that sentiment has eroded or soured in such a way that 11% number would make sense. So at this point, I would look at the 5-to-1 ratio, good to bad, and I'd say it's a pretty darn good ratio, and I would assume that sentiment is still very fairly positive.
Oh yeah, that's a good take on that. So we still have a pretty good long-term outlook. We'll just keep an eye on that number, and as you said, the statistics is probably the explanation point there. Now, on the supplemental question this time was you asked people about the impact of the Bright Invest activities. What did you hear?
That's right. Well, there didn't seem to be a lot of people that were anticipating much, or that we're seeing much change in terms of the marketplace because of it at this point. However, and we really focus more on the pricing as much as anything else. Most people, or a good number of people, I think 40%, have seen prices begin to rise. it hasn't changed most behavior. 80% of respondents still anticipate sourcing from the masters. And so when I think about the responses from Bright and Best, I think there's a sense that, prices are going to go up or are going up, but that they're still going to use the masters. The number of people that are using this as a catalyst to go direct is still relatively small. And, to me, the interesting part, and again, we've talked on this before about, I think, the importance of scale in distribution. Over the years, that's become more and more important. When I think about the positioning of a company like a Fastenal, who really uses relatively little master distribution in terms of sourcing. They have their own sourcing operation over in Asia and that sort of thing. So their numbers of sourced product from masters is smaller than the average small guy. I think it potentially puts them at a disadvantage, or it puts the smaller distributor at a disadvantage, simply because if 80% of the respondents are still going to go through masters and pricing is going up from the masters because of the consolidation, Fastenal has the choice of whether or not they want to play for share or capture price. And it's a flexibility, I think, that scale is going to afford them. So, it does look perhaps like maybe prices will go up a little bit. I think that does perhaps make the larger distributors, put them in a little bit better position than they were before this. And that's something that overall I think is going to wind up being a challenge for the smaller distributor. We'll see how it plays out, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's just another in the list of challenges that are afflicting the smaller distributor in the market.
Now, and when you're saying the higher prices will hurt the small guys more, why is that exactly?
Well, because the small guys are going to have the small guys going through masters will have to raise their own prices, and one assumes that they'll be able to, but that's just to play margin defense. Whereas somebody like Fastenal would not have to necessarily raise prices because they're sourcing, they're going around the masters and sourcing direct from the manufacturer. So if the small distributor can raise prices, that's great, but to a large extent they're going to have to do so to play defense on margin, whereas a larger distributor that does mostly its own sourcing rather than going through a master, they're going to have the flexibility to either maintain price and play for share or raise their own prices and increase their own profitability.
So the big guys will get, they'll have a higher profit, and the small guys, if their best case is they'll keep the same profit.
Yeah, and if they keep the same profit, that means that they're not raising prices when the smaller guys are, and because they're going to be paying a lower cost because they're going direct to the OEM to purchase rather than going through the master. So yeah, I think the way to think about it is the larger distributor is going to have more flexibility to either raise price and boost its margin when the market in general does so, or not raise its price, and when the rest of the market has to do so to offset the master's price increase, and therefore put itself in a position to gain some market share.
Now, do you know if the smaller guys have a harder time raising price than the bigger guys, or is it too variable?
I think typically I think of distribution as being relatively sort of flow through in terms of price. I have not historically noted a big difference during normal times in their ability to get price versus larger distributors. Again, what it is, it's a function of flexibility. The smaller distributor will have to raise price because their master supplier is raising price to them. They'll probably get it, but if they raise price, Fastenal has the option of not raising price and going for market share because they're not going through the master.
Got it. Yeah.
So that's sort of the thinking there, and we'll see how and to what degree that actually plays out over time. But that's theoretically that's a pressure that could come on the smaller distributors relative to the larger ones.
Right. Interesting strategy and moves going on.
That's right.
Okay, good. Well, I think good job on getting the data seasonally adjusted, and we look forward to more reports the rest of the year, and get out of this cold weather and into some decent springtime.
That's right, and we're obviously doing this a little bit later this month, which is just a timing quirk. So it's almost we're almost preparing to send out the next month's surveys And again, for those who are listening, we would love to have more and more participation. And one of the advantages that comes with participating is, we make sure that the results of the FDI get into your hands directly immediately upon its being published, as opposed to having to wait for this. So on these quirky months, by participating, we can assure you that you'll get the results faster. So please reach out to Eric Dudas, and we'd love to have your participation.
Yeah, that's a good point. The report is timely, and it's full of a lot of good information that you get right into your inbox. So
that's right.
Well, Holden, thanks for joining us, and we'll look forward to talking to you next month.
Sounds good, Mike. Have a great month.
That was Holden Lewis of BB&T Capital Markets. Holden has a regular column on the FDI that appears in the print and digital editions of Fastener Technology International magazine. Next up, today's top Fastener Newsmaker headlines. The European Union is looking at renewing tariffs on screws and bolts from China. The EU is conducting a review to decide whether to reimpose 5 years of duties as high as 74% on steel fastener imports from China. Results are pending. RTI International Metals has acquired Directed Manufacturing Incorporated, a leader in additive manufacturing of metals and plastics for both commercial production and engineering development applications, for $23 million in cash. Based in Austin, Texas, RTI Directed will produce complex products using titanium, nickel-chromium alloys, and other specialty metals and composite plastics. Rockwood Equity Partners, LLC, a private investment firm based in Cleveland and New York, has acquired Dell Fastener Corp. Of Bridgeville, Pennsylvania, as an add-on to its portfolio company, AFC Industries Incorporated, located in Fairfield, Ohio. Terms of the deal were not disclosed, and Dell is a fastener distributor, and it will operate as a division of AFC. MRO and OEM fastener distributor Spangle Fasteners, based in Fort Wayne, Indiana, has opened a new storefront in Warsaw, Indiana. The Warsaw store is Spangle Fastener's first satellite location, and it has created over 15 new jobs. And our top newsmaker headline is that the U.S. Department of Commerce announced its affirmative preliminary determination in the anti-dumping duty case of imports of steel-threaded rod from India. The Department of Commerce found that steel-threaded rod from India has been sold in the USA at dumping margins ranging from 8% to 120% by Mangal Steel Enterprises Limited and Babu Exports. The rates for those two companies are 8.63% and 119.87% respectively. All other producers in India received a preliminary dumping margin of 8.63%. As a result, the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency will require cash deposits from all Indian exporters based on these dumping margin rates. The petitioners for this investigation were All American Threaded Rod Products in Denver, Colorado, Bay Standard Manufacturing in Brentwood, California, and Vulcan Threaded Products in Pelham, Alabama. Finally, let's turn to the back page for a report on Olympic hockey. I have to admit that I experienced a decent amount of pleasure in hearing about the USA beating Russia in the first round of Olympic hockey in Russia with Vladimir Putin in attendance, but there were two things that kept it from really rising to a culture-changing event for me like the 1980 Miracle on Ice. First, the programming dopes at NBC decided not to broadcast the game live, so I followed the overtime and shootout on Twitter while many others watched it on their computers or telephones. Second, after hearing that 4 of the Russian players were members of the Columbus Blue Jackets, Ohio's NHL team, I decided to check out the Olympic hockey rosters, and I found that Olympic hockey is basically just an extended NHL All-Star tournament. Now, this may not come as a surprise to regular NHL fans, but 100% of the USA and Canadian Olympic players come from the NHL, and the other medal contenders rely heavily on NHL players as well. Sweden is 96% NHL, the Czech Republic is 70%, Russia and Finland are 60% NHL, and Slovakia has half its roster coming from the National Hockey League. Switzerland, Austria, Latvia, and Slovenia bring up the rear with 30, 10, and 4% respectively. So what are my conclusions? NBC's Olympic coverage blows. The magic of the Miracle on Ice will never be duplicated, and the best hockey in the world is played in the NHL by the best players from all over the world, primarily in the greatest country on earth, the United States of America. This has been Mike McNulty of Fastener Technology International, bringing you the Fastener News Report. Remember to send your news, pictures, comments, corrections, or complaints to me at McNulty at FastenerTech.com.
Hey, you feeling okay? You look kind of fershmoozled. Don't worry, we'll be right back with more Fully Threaded Radio. When top quality and outstanding service are at the top of your list in fastener suppliers, turn to Stellfast. Since 1976, Stellfast has grown to become an industry-leading importer and manufacturer of the highest quality industrial fasteners, specialty items, and automotive parts. Our array of facilities across North America and in Asia, along with full quality control labs and ISO 9001-2008 certifications, ensure the highest quality parts, and at Stellfast, they're delivered with undisputed service excellence. We're family-run and dedicated to your success. Our customers have come to depend on the expertise of our staff and the quality of our products. We also offer a wide range of secondary services to meet some of the toughest requirements you might have. Contact Stellfast today through our website at www.stellfast.com and put us to work for you. Stellfast. Service you deserve, people you trust.
Hi everyone, it's Brian Musker. If you're listening to Fully Threaded, then you're no doubt aware of the FCH sourcing network found at fastenersclearinghouse.com. You've probably also heard about our legendary scrubber software that makes listing your inventory on FCH a snap. But have you heard about the new FCH SmartLink interface? With SmartLink, users of Business Edge, InSequel, and Distribution One have a new weapon in the war against excess inventory, because each of these platforms now links directly to the FCH scrubber system through an automated interface. The best part is that this new tool is available at no additional charge to FCH members who use Business Edge, InSequel, or Distribution One. With SmartLink, you can keep your inventory listings up to date with the click of a button, so it's a win-win for all FCH users. The new FCH FastLink interface is really big news, and we'll be thrilled to have your company using it. Business Edge, InSequel, and Distribution One users should contact their software provider for details, or just call me, Brian Musker. You can reach me through the FCH website at www.fastenersclearinghouse.com. That's fasteners with an S, and the S is for scrubber.
Since 1905, Buckeye Fasteners and the Ohio Nut and Bolt Company have been supplying the world with high-quality fasteners. Our standard product lines include weld fasteners, braided weld screws, leg levelers, self-clinching hardware, clevis pins, rivet nuts, and various other fastener lines, allowing us to support virtually all types of industries. We have complete custom manufacturing capabilities in low carbon, medium carbon, and stainless steel materials, and our quality systems are registered to ISO standards. Our on-staff engineering department can assist you with product development and provide total technical support. Our knowledgeable sales team members offer superior customer service and are here to answer any questions you may have regarding our products. Having a hard time finding a part? Let our sourcing specialists do the work for you to locate those items. We offer competitive pricing with typically smaller minimums and shorter lead times. To find out more about Buckeye Fasteners, please call us at 800-437-1689 or on the web at buckeyefasteners.com. Buckeye Fasteners, more than just weld.
Hi there, this is Jim Zender with Trinity Logistics, and you are listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Well, Bri, we're heading already to the end of February, and I guess most folks will hear this. Geez, it'll be almost March. And it seems like ancient history, but back on February 12th through the 15th, the NFDA and Pac-West had a huge event. And, of course, we advertised this in the lead-up, but that took place. And that, of course, was in Indian Wells, California. Wish we could have headed out there for it, Bri.
Right, yeah. It would have been sort of nice and warm, I think.
I heard it was a Fastener Fandango. The weather would have been just a bonus because, we've been getting hammered out here in the Midwest, and people out east, same thing. But we have two folks with us right now who can provide all the details, because on the line with us is from Copper State Bolton Nut, also of the NFDA. It's Paul Tiffany. Hi, Paul. Thanks for joining us today.
How you doing, guys?
Doing well, thanks.
Yes, while the biblical weather continues as we started this, I don't know if you're going to be able to hear it on my mic, but the torrential rains are ripping through the western suburbs of Chicago. But I have a feeling out in Chino, California, that's not the case, right, Tracy Lehman?
No, it's beautiful here. Another 80 degrees, I think, today.
And you love it.
Yeah, it's sort of sickening,
Yeah,
really, isn't it?
It is. I just was told that Camcar Stanley might be closing down in Iowa today, so we're lucky and blessed out here.
Tracy, if you keep talking about that stuff, you may have a lot more distributors in your area.
Yeah, well, they're not paying for taxes and homes out here, so they're in lucky spots.
While it's warm, they are, yes.
We were lucky to have some great weather last week, and there were some people that was 100 degrees in difference in temperature. That's what they said, but they were in the 100-degree club because it got up to about 90.
Well, to all that are listening, it is absolutely miserable here in Phoenix, Arizona. So
Thank
you
you.
definitely don't want to move here.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I like
It's going to be a
things.
chilly 75 today.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not there. Okay.
Very shrewd, Paul. We'll set up everything for us. Tracy, why don't you start? You're the president of the Pacific West Fastener Association, and I guess this new format of jointly meeting was a big success.
Yeah, this is the first time we had one that was a full conference, and when we hit our goal was to hit 150, and I think we were at 160 at the start, and there might have been some people that were last registration the day of that they could make some of the meetings. So we were really pleased with the attendance from all over the country.
Wow, that sounds a lot of people.
Yeah, very respectable. So Vicki Lester had her hands full.
Yeah, well, credit to Lester Management. They job well done. They did a really great job handling both associations, and the venue was amazing. The food was great. Everything just went really smoothly, and it worked out really well, and we're hoping to do one again soon.
Well, we'll talk about upcoming events in a little bit. First, though, please, Paul, set the stage for us. What was the atmosphere? What was the buzz?
Well, I agree with Tracy. I think the venue was great. The venue really allowed people to have their informal gatherings, which is a big part of what NFDA and Pac-West does. It allows people to get together, to meet, and to talk about things that are at the top of their list. But I also feel that this meeting had great content. It had some very good executive and ownership education type meetings, but we also were able to include a little bit of fun. And I guess when you look at the weather and all the people that did belong to that 100-degree club, the pool and golf course was a nice addition to the meeting.
Oh, I can certainly understand that.
Yeah, it went really well. And, even a lot of times when we're in a resort location, we lose people in the afternoon, and we didn't. Our business owners forum and our business executive forum, anybody that was attending the full conference, we had 100% enrollment in both of those. So even with Pac-West, we lose about 10%, and we didn't this time. So they were both full, both of those rooms. So that was nice to see.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and it was Valentine's Day, so Vicki and her staff put on a really nice dinner, and then we did the newlywed game on Friday night, which was quite entertaining.
Cool. So how did that work?
Well, let me try to remember who was part of that group. It was Trevor from Pacific Bolt in Canada, Jackie and his wife Samantha. They're really newlyweds. I think they've been only married like a year and a half.
Cool.
And then we had Jackie from H.W. Eckhart and her husband Bill. We had Kevin Chavez and Jamie Adams. And then we had Kelly Cole and his wife Susan. And the last one we had from NFDA, which was Bryn and her husband.
Hank?
Yeah,
Bryn
Hank.
and Hank Stock with Spencer Products.
And who was Bob Eubanks?
Tom Budenbaum from Technology Components.
Of course.
Who did a great job of moderating it and keeping everybody on track.
Thanks, Tom.
It was innocent enough, but the winners got a nice gift certificate to Fleming Steakhouse, and the losers got a very nice 30-pack of Busch Light from Fully Threaded Radio.
A premium beer, yep.
As I said, now you can go get drunk and enjoy yourself.
Or they just needed to talk and make certain they knew a little bit more about each other.
Exactly.
So there really were no losers. That's what you're saying, right, Tracy?
Yes. It was fun. It was really a nice event, and it kind of showed Pac-West can be, have a really good, materials business-wise, but then we kind of let loose a little bit at night, and it was, I think everybody really enjoyed it.
They are always fun, those night meetings, those dinners, and the events that you guys put on. Paul, did you sense any kind of a culture clash there between the two groups, or did the NFDA people kind of take it all in stride?
Well, ironically, you have a lot of members or a lot of people that are members of both organizations. So from that standpoint, it really allowed people to go to one meeting instead of two. But I also feel that the people that were only members of one organization really got to see what the other group was about. They got to meet a lot of new people that they wouldn't otherwise meet. So for the most part, I think people saw a great benefit to having the groups together.
The only problem I had was that Pac-West were very casual. Even our business meetings, we had too many blue sport coats that came from and I told them to keep them in their room, and these guys just couldn't. So we had some of our Pac-West group that had been going for a long time in shorts and flip-flops, as Andy would say, and then we had some guys in their blue sport coats that I said, please keep in your room, and it was hard for them.
Yeah, that East Coast, West Coast mentality was a little bit hard to get over, but I would imagine if somebody leaving from Chicago was wearing shorts and a polo, they may look a little bit out of place. The other thing I heard was that not everybody had time to get up in the attic, get their trunk out, and pull their shorts out.
Yeah.
They would be definitely at the very back of the attic at the moment, okay?
Right. We didn't see any ties at this meeting.
Oh, yeah, no ties. That was the bonus.
They would have been cut by a member of Pac-West.
Well, that's a relief to hear. Now, Paul, on Fully Threaded, we often refer to the Pac-West group as the grooviest association, probably of the nation. How do you characterize NFDA in contrast?
Well, I guess after that explanation from Tracy, I would say professional.
Oh, come on!
Wow.
We're an association that you can let your hair down and still have the benefits of being a real business meeting. But it's just because it's California casual here.
Yeah, again, the groups there's a lot of members on both sides, so it's really just the East Coast seems to be a little less casual when it comes to dress attire. The personalities, I would say, are the same across the board. It's just
Correct.
what they're wearing.
It melded really well, and I'll tell you, I got a flood of emails on Monday, and they really enjoyed this event. It was, when you have numbers like that we don't see very often, it really makes a difference, and people got to meet people that they never met before, and everything went really smoothly. I mean, it was a real credit to, again, I'd have to say Vicki and her crew. Everything went very smoothly.
And the other thing that I liked about it, and you touched on it, people did mingle. You didn't look at the room and have Pac-West on one side, NFDA on the other side. People really branched out, and every time you looked at a group discussion, it was a mixture of both associations. So I don't think there was really any divide. I don't think people looked at it and said, oh, those NFDA people or Pac-West. It was one group, and that was the fastener industry, and it was really successful because of that.
So you think that the other organizations might try the same thing? This whole idea of joining two different associations together for a meeting is a good one.
That's one of the things that I think the industry needs. There's a lot of meetings. People have a lot to do at work. I haven't heard anybody say at the meetings that they have less to do at the office. But, NFDA wanted to do this where we can partner up with different associations to keep the meetings down, but also introduce different groups together. I foresee, I think, Tracy, you do too, that NFDA and Pac-West will once again in the future have another joint conference just because of how successful it was.
Absolutely. If I'm hoping that we can jot that down in the next couple of years and do another one. I don't think we will do it quickly, but we'll do it in a few years, and hopefully it'll turn out even better.
And the cool thing is you don't have to have your people talk to his people because they're the same people.
That's correct.
We do have two separate boards, but yes.
Well, the boards, yeah, I meant the management team.
The executive director.
And also I'm a member of both, and so is Paul. So, there's a lot of people that are members of both, and we'd like to see, the people that are part of both organizations. It's hard to go to 4 conferences a year. So if we can, work together on planning our conferences kind of together in a way where it's not commingling or in the same area, that's going to work out well for both associations.
And I think when you group the associations together, you end up having better content. I think you get perspective from each association when you're developing your content. Both associations bring different things to the meeting. I can tell you that the Pac-West brought an Ignite session to the meeting that NFDA has never done. That was a great session.
Yeah, we had quite a few. They were good during lunch hour to keep the lunch hour, moving. But overall, I give it an A. I think we did an excellent job. Both boards put a lot of time and effort into it, and you can see the result.
Yeah, those Ignite sessions are really wonderful. It's a cool format. I think it's 6 or 7 minutes, and it's just a highly condensed presentation, and it's just high bandwidth, and it's they fire out the bullet points, and it is a great thing to do during lunch.
I think the content of this meeting, at least the feedback from the members, the content was great, from the panel discussion to the conflict minerals, which I think has been on everybody's mind. Obviously, the economic outlook that never goes away. But when you look at those plus the ownership and executive forums, I think the content of this meeting made a big impact on membership.
And with that, we had a lot of the last minute shows were from people in the local area coming in for just that conflict minerals reporting requirement that we had.
Yeah, I think the conflict minerals session really opened some people's eyes. I did hear a big sigh of relief from the audience when they found out that there wasn't going to be any penalties, that it's really driven by the demand of our customers. But I think a lot of people didn't realize that that people were requiring it now.
That subject is something that we have really not touched on very much at all. As a matter of fact, Brian and I were joking about it on a recent episode. Maybe we should put our heads together and get a segment together for that and address it here on Fully Threaded. Appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea. Lawrence Heim, who was with Elm Sustainability, I think did a great job of explaining it and what was required by companies. I believe he started off the conversation, I think, with a requirement that Apple came out and said that their suppliers by, I want to say, April are going to be required to meet their conflict minerals plan.
Right, yeah. It was announced last week, actually, that I think.
Well, wrapping up our summary of the event then, I'm very curious. aside from the subjects that we have mentioned thus far, was there a theme? I mean, was there a topic that seemed to be on everybody's mind, or how would you describe that, Tracy?
Well, I think with the recent purchase of Porteous, there are a lot of distributors that are looking for new sources or looking to, maybe partner with Brighton completely. So I think there was a lot of discussions with the distributors on what they were doing and what their outlook for the next year is. I think that was a main topic in the industry with the consolidations of companies and what the next step is. And one of the Ignite sessions was done by Bill Derry, and he was doing it on his global, do you know the name of it? Paul?
Yeah, well, it's part of his global supply chain group.
Yes. And that was his Ignite session. So that opened up a lot of people's minds up to having a handful of distributors come together and maybe do some importing on themselves. But I think, if anything, that has always been a consistent thought in distributors' mind on where else to purchase product from.
Mm-hmm. And Eric, on top of that, I think there was a lot of talk amongst companies about really what is going to be the role of small distributors, and what is the market going to utilize them for over the next 10 years. And with the consolidation of companies, especially like Tracy is saying with BBI and Porteous, what is the role going to be of small distributors in the market in 5 years? And I think that's a concern of a lot of people that were at the meeting.
We hear a lot of that too. Yep.
Yep.
Well, good stuff, folks. Appreciate you. I know we had a little scheduling issue, but I appreciate the both of you participating. Of course,
right.
You're both heavyweights in your respective organizations. And Tracy, what's coming down the road for the Pacific West Fastener Association?
I just want to mention, and I think that you probably need another segment with John Walkman, but during we had our board meeting as well, and we are incorporating FTI, Fastener Training Institute, to become its own entity. The papers were filed this week. With that, we've also set up a Fastener Education Foundation, and he can call, if you could get him on here, he could talk to you a lot more about that. But this way, it's not just Pac-West with that Fastener Training Institute. It's going to be for the entire industry. It's very exciting, and I'm really proud of our board for making it happen in such a short time. And so that's going to be an exciting new thing for both Pac-West and the Fastener Training Institute.
Yeah, I saw a tweet fly by about that. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's really awesome. It's great for the industry. I'm so proud of our board to putting that on its own, and they're going to have its own board, an own education foundation, so we can get scholarship money for people to attend the education and to have the training institute become, a standard for all associations and the industry. But I know John Walkman can talk to you way more about it, much better about it than I can today. But our next meeting is, we have a dinner meeting in Los Angeles. It's March 18th. Following with that, we have our April 4th golf tournament, our Mel Kirshner Memorial Golf Tournament. So those are the two things that are happening at Pac-West. But definitely you can go online and see about all the other programs that are happening.
And the website for that, of course, is www.pac-west.org. Hard to believe it's almost golf time again. I think a lot of people's ears perk up when you throw that out there, especially if you're here in the miserable Midwest. But
yeah,
it's right around the corner, Bri.
Thank God for that.
Paul, what's up at the NFDA that we have to look forward to? I know you've got a big meeting coming up in June, if I'm not mistaken.
We do have our big annual meeting in June. It's going to be in New Orleans, to something that Tracy said a little bit earlier about people looking for new sources. Our meeting this June is with our ESPS, which is our executive sales planning sessions, which really allows new customer or new vendors to connect with new customers. So it kind of comes into play at a good time with the consolidations. But New Orleans is going to be a great venue. It's June 17th and 18th. So hopefully we see people there. But I would like to put a footnote on what Tracy was saying about what Pac-West did with FTI and really Pac-West giving back to the industry. I believe there was a lot of synergy at this conference because both organizations really want to give back to the industry. And Pac-West really showed that by, making a transition with FTI. But I think both associations are going to continue in that direction, and really our meetings are about giving back to the industry. So thank you again to Pac-West.
Well, thank you, Paul. I know that we're all trying to do the best by our associations and our industry, and that's what this is all about.
Yep, that's huge, and it's going to continue to be huge, and I think you guys have a lot of momentum behind you. We've talked about this quite a bit on the podcast, and we'll continue to do so. So we look forward to supporting you.
Well, thank you, and thank you for having us on here. Greatly appreciated, and good luck to both of you guys.
One quick question for both of you before we wrap it up. There's been this new term that's been I've been hearing here and there at different fastener events, and I've been hitting my share of them lately. And maybe you heard this. Have any of you heard of fershmoozled? I mean, does that ring a bell? Was there any fershmoozling going on out there?
That might be a laid-back Pac-West term. We don't use that at NFDA.
I can't comment on that.
I don't know where that term comes from, actually, Eric.
Okay, well, it seems to be popping up more and more, so keep your ears open, and I don't know, more to come on that one. Paul, Tiffany, you are with Copper State Bolt and Nut out there in the Phoenix area. You're also on the board of the NFDA, and Tracy Lehman with Pacific Warehouse Sales. Of course, you're the head honcho out there at Pac-West, and once again, we really appreciate you coming on board with us.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bamboozlement? No. Nobody said anything about that. Hold it together. We'll be right back, and we'll explain it right after this. It's Fully Threaded.
Where do you go when you need fasteners fast, or a unique part that you can't live without? 3 words: Trinity Hardware Headquarters. You can easily find whatever you're looking for with our convenient online catalog that features over 30,000 different types of fasteners available in packaged quantities, product kits, and assortments. And now you can order over 2,000 of the most popular line items online 24/7, 365. Whether you're looking for standard inch and metric sizes or one of those hard-to-find parts, it's not hard to find at TrinityHardwareHQ.com. With over 400,000 square feet of warehouse space in locations throughout the Midwest and South, filled with over 18 million pounds of fasteners, Trinity Hardware Headquarters has exactly what you need. When you can't afford downtime, let Trinity Hardware Headquarters hold it together with the fasteners you need. Visit our website at www.trinityhardwarehq.com or call us at 888-232-1010. Trinity Hardware Headquarters, for parts done right.
For a selection of hundreds of thousands of fasteners, check out your local Fastenal store or Fastenal.com. We can stock domestic or internationally sourced product locally and keep your bin stock filled for you at no additional expense. We are a 9001-2008 certified company that's made a huge investment in quality control so you don't have to. And if you can't find it on our shelf, we can make it for you at the quantity you need at one of our many manufacturing facilities. Learn more by contacting your local Fastenal store or visiting Fastenal.com today.
Hi, this is Hugh Hewitt for the Injured Marine Semper Fi Fund, www.semperfifund.org. Over the past 7 years, twice a year, the wonderful people who operate the Semper Fi Fund and many amazing Marines who have been the beneficiaries of the charities that have supported the Semper Fi Fund, including many thousands of individual donors, have come into my radio studio to tell their amazing stories of serving their country, of being wounded, and how the Semper Fi Fund has helped them make that transition back to recovery. Unfortunately, Bethesda and Walter Reed are full again. More and more men and women are coming back from the war injured, sometimes awfully so. We need the Semper Fi Fund to be there for these Marines and those soldiers, sailors, and airmen who served alongside of them. Please consider a gift to the Semper Fi Fund. Very low overhead, extraordinary capacity to get money where it needs to get in a hurry, and great management, including some of the senior Marines who have ever served under the flag. When you're looking for something to do that will make an impact, please check out the Semper Fi Fund. That's www.semperfifund.org, www.semperfifund.org.
Brian and Eric, your online Fastener Talk Radio brothers in thread. Fully Threaded Radio.
This is a traveling salesman at Fastener Talk, fastenerblog.net, and you're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric, back with you, Fully Threaded.
Yes. So we have to make a note in our calendars to make sure we do actually get back to this idea of interviewing someone to explain all about this industry, the Fastener Coalition.
Among other things, I agree. Yes.
Yeah.
We've got to talk about conflict minerals. We've got to talk about, of course, embrittlement. And I mean, this is what other podcasts can you go to where you hear these terms just bandied about? Lubricity, others.
Yeah, and another thing we talked about was getting some people who actually use their phones for lots of things, and finding out which apps they use so they can actually use their phones for more than just a telephone. Okay, how they plan stuff on them, and which are the best apps for that.
Good point. You know, after a hiatus, we haven't been talking about smartphones very much lately on the podcast, Brian, but maybe we should do that.
We should. Well, one of the reasons is because they apparently found yesterday that they were susceptible to a terrible hack. The Apple ones were, and Apple rushed out a fix last night. So maybe that's just as well we weren't using them as much.
Thanks for keeping us abreast of that one, Brian.
Right. Yep. One of my jobs, okay. Running the scrubber and keeping up with what Apple's doing with their iPhones.
All part of the Fully Threaded Radio experience, folks, and I'd like to thank our guests today because they certainly added quite a bit to that experience, and they were, this time around, Mr. Jay Minichino of B&B Fasteners. He's also the president of the Metropolitan Fastener Distributors Association. Paul Tiffany joined us, as well as Tracy Lehman. They gave us the Pac-West NFDA recap, and BB&T Capital Markets analyst Holden Lewis joined Mike McNulty on the Fastener News Report today. Great job, as usual, gentlemen.
Right. And I have to sit and think about this whole idea of seasonal adjustments, okay?
I know. What a concept, isn't it?
Yeah. I know that we'd discussed that with Holden actually months and months and months ago, and he said, well, you got to have a period of history so that you can make sure that the numbers, actually do contain this sort of variation.
Right. Oh, it makes total sense to me. I mean, if it's good enough for the PMI, it's good enough for the FDI. We didn't want to jump into it lest we get fershmoozled prematurely.
Oh, God. Okay. And what state would that be?
Well, we'll have to talk about that next time.
Okay.
And in the meantime, everybody, you can get with us. Our email address, ftr@fullythreaded.com. We're also out there on Twitter, the handle Fully Threaded.
And if you need to catch up on any of the points raised in this podcast, just go out to our Facebook page. Okay?
Yep, we'll put a couple of them out there. And right before we wind this one up, Bri, I want to point out to everybody that I had a great time with the North Coast Fastener Association a week or so back, and had a great chance to sit in on one of their dinner meetings, all part of my odyssey across the country over the last month.
Must be really nice for some people. Hell.
Well, that's debatable because the weather out there, and with Chicago. But anyway, we're not going to go into that.
No.
At this particular meeting, it was something put together by Marty Nolan, the president of the NCFA, and he did a great job as usual.
Mm-hmm.
The guest speaker was Bob DiBiasio, who is the vice president of public affairs for the Cleveland Indians. And there were a whole bunch of Indians fans out there that joined in for the meeting, and it was really a great thing.
Yeah, okay. So that sounds like it'd be good fun there.
Oh, and it was. I should not be surprised by this, but Charlie Kerr was known to Mr. DiBiasio as a longtime season ticket holder. And Marty, you could tell he's a huge Indians fan. There were a lot of guys in the room that were drawn there for that. But there was kind of a heartwarming thing that happened. George Hunt of Brighton Best, correct?
Which one? George Hunt third? George Hunt?
Yes, the third.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
And funny you ask, because he was there and he brought his son along, which was really cool. So George Hunt the fourth, I guess, will be on his business card someday. But they had this great raffle at the end of the presentation, and they gave away photos and jerseys and signed baseballs and stuff like that.
Wow.
As usually happens in the fastener industry, when they have one of these raffles, people try to give back into the raffle and stuff like that to keep the fun going and keep the money flowing and stuff.
Yeah.
And so you guessed it, George Hunt IV, who's, I don't know, I would guess 10 years old, he walked out of there with this huge armload of memorabilia because all these guys kept just letting it roll, and giving it over to him, and it was just such a sweet thing. And those are the kind of people that are in the NCFA, and got to say it this way, in the fastener industry in general. So it was a really great time.
Right. They've done that that we've seen in Chicago, probably led by Rich Cavoto, actually, I think. So it's a sign of the generosity built in.
Yep, absolutely. No fershmoozlement on that score,
Why do you think that would have been?
We'll have to take that up next time, because that's going to put episode 78 of Fully Threaded Radio in the can.
You're right. You close the lid tight.
For Brian Musker, this is Eric Dudas. Thanks for joining us as usual, everybody. Get out there, sell some screws, stay warm, and we'll talk to you next time.
Fully Threaded Radio is a production of Fastener's Clearinghouse. Music provided by Audionautics.
Fershmoozled. We're fershmoozled right now.
Fershmoozled?